Now the record is in progress, beginning Bhagavatamrta after a pause for festivals. We missed it for Balaram Jayanti, which was on Thursday previous, and then last Thursday was wonderful Janmashtami. So we're picking up again. I will do a little synopsis of where we are, okay?
Yeah, that's what I was going to request you to do.
Yeah, I was just
Okay.
taking some notes down. So in
Okay.
the meantime, Nama Om Vishnu Pathaya Vishnu Bhutale Hemati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namani Namaste Sarasati Devi Gauravani Pachalini Nivasisha Shunya Hari Pashtatara Satarane Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gatadha Shiva Sari Gaura Bhaktivinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Okay, so we're on beginning from text 91, but before I share the screen with Brhad Bhagavatamrta, the context of where we left off some weeks ago. So he's entered, God, I forget, Gopakumar, did he forgot his name? Please excuse me. Gopakumar has entered into Shiva's abode. Yeah. Although Lord Shiva has already made an appearance in the Brihad Bhagavatamrta, here he actually enters into his abode. And Lord Shiva is always present there. And as a side point, he never takes on different forms like Vishnu does, who takes on the form of Matsya or Nrsingadev. He's always present as Lord Shiva. And they're engaged in constant, more or less, festival of singing and chanting the glories of Lord Vishnu, singing and dancing. Yeah. And although he is the Lord of the universe, he's glorified as he is always worshipping Ananta Shesh with great humility. So this is Shiva Loka, the abode of Lord Shiva. And Gopakumar is very happy, but still he's happy to see this wonderful exhibition of glorification of the Lord, but still he's thinking of his worshipful deity, Madan Gopal, and his pastimes, etc. Then at that time, Gopakumar hears some beautiful, sweet melodies of singing, and he concludes there must be great souls. And Lord Shiva also hears this, and he goes into a further ecstasy of dancing. And then Parvati and other associates begin to play musical instruments, encourage, all joining in Lord Shiva's ecstatic dancing of hearing this sweet singing. And if we remember, these persons who are singing the glories of the Lord, they are the Vaikuntha Dutas. They are residents of Vaikuntha. All right. So Gopakumar sees them. Eventually, he sees them, and he becomes completely, totally attracted to their youth, or they're exhibiting youth, charm, and beauty described here. And they're accompanied by the four Kumaras are there. So in his heart, although he's a bit hesitant to approach them, he actually wants to become their servant. He becomes so attracted in great ecstasy of devotion. Yeah. So Parvati understands his desire. Then she indicates to Ganesh, their son, in order to explain. So then Ganesh Ji begins to explain to Gopakumar about the Vishnu Dutas, about the abode of Vaikuntha, and he actually shows him Vaikuntha and shows all the different devas and demigods worshipping Vishnu, hundreds of different forms of Lord Brahma. All right, that was a quick synopsis of where we left off. Anything to add on that? Everyone's okay with that? We have with us Rajikishore, Mavalabhang Latika, and Anupama. Okay, let's see if others join. Chandravali's having a birthday party today for her granddaughter, so she won't be with us. But let's share the screen. Everyone can hear me? Yes, great.
Yes, we can hear you,
we
Prabhu.
can, yes. Thank you.
Fantastic. Okay, share the screen. Hmm. Why is it not there? Yes, it is there. Okay. Share the screen. Here we go. This is where we left off. So we're beginning. Let's just go from here. We finished on this text, but let's just have a recap here. So someone like to read. And this one we're reading just the English for, just the translation.
Shall I read, Prabhu?
Yes, please. Let's
Text
get.
1991.
Yes,
Shall I start, Prabhu?
yes, go ahead.
Okay. Shri Ganesha continued. These persons cherish only devotional service to the Lord. They travel as they please, spreading pure devotion everywhere. They save the Lord's devotees from all fears, even at the time of death. If those devotees have but once had even a reflection of the Lord's name on the tip of their tongues or the path to their ears. Commentary. Sri Ganesha explains why the messengers of Vaikuntha visit all the universes. Acting on their own initiative, they travel everywhere to spread devotional service to the Supreme Lord, eager to distribute fearlessness to the Lord's devotees. Even though Vaishnavas have nothing to fear from anything material, they still fear obstructions to their bhakti. The Vaikuntha Vasis always endeavor to help Vaishnavas everywhere overcome impediments to devotional progress. They protest anyone who has at least once chanted or heard the holy name of Lord Vishnu, or even a shadow of his name uttered neglectfully or in jest, contempt, or pain.
All right, I should just ask a question here. What story in the Bhagavatam exemplifies this wonderfully? This whole purport.
Is it the Ajamil story?
Yes.
Ajamil.
Yeah. There it seems like Gopi Pranadana is basing this explanation on that pastime, because it was there that Yamaraj instructed Yamaraj instructed his followers, the Yamadutas, not to touch Vaishnavas or those who have chanted the holy name. So yeah, well done, Hare Krishna. And which canto is that?
Canto 7?
Canto 7, is it Canto 6?
Oh, 6, yes. It's 6.
Canto 6, yeah, Ajamal Kanda. Very much loved by devotees. Yeah, that story. Yes. Okay, you can carry on. Anupama.
Okay. Text 92. And these four brothers, the best of lifelong celibates, are the Supreme Lord's incarnations as devotees. They wander for the benefit of all the worlds, just as the Lord's Vaikuntha associates. Text 93. They live on Tapaloka, where they give reassurance and security to the residents who at times feel helpless in the absence of their Lord Narayana. Commentary. Gopakumar might wonder why the contented Kumara sages had accompanied the benevolent visitors from Vaikuntha. To answer this doubt, Shri Ganesha speaks text 92 through 95. The messengers of Vaikuntha are servants of Lord Vaikuntha Nas, and the four Kumaras are empowered Sakya Svesha avatars of the same Lord. By personal example, therefore, the Kumaras promote the cause of Lord Narayan's devotional service wherever they go. They spend most of their time on Tapalok because the celibate masters of yoga reside there depend on their guidance. The Kumaras teach them the path of yoga and also create for them the highest good fortune by speaking about the Supreme Lord and engaging them in congregational chanting of his glories. As expressed in this verse by the word Eva, where Lord Vishnu is absent from Tapaloka, the residents suffer as if they have lost contact with him, but in their meditation they always see him.
I just want to confirm, I just want to clarify this. Is it the Kumaras are teaching the Vaikuntha Basis, or Vaikuntha Basis are teaching the Kumaras. Contented sages accompanied, so they accompanied the benevolent visitors from Vaikuntha. Ganesh speaks, the messengers of Vaikuntha are servants of Lord Vaikuntanath, and the four Kumaras are empowered Shakti. By personal example, therefore, the Kumaras promote the cause of Lord Narayan's devotional service wherever they go. They spend the time in Tapaloka. Oh, okay. So, excuse me, I just a bit confused myself. So it's the Kumaras who are teaching the residents of Tapaloka.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry about that. I got a bit confused. It sounded like the Kumaras were teaching the Vaikuntha Dutas, but no, they're teaching the sages on Tapaloka. Yeah. Hare Krishna. So 94, 95.
These brothers have just gone to Vaikuntha and seen the Supreme Lord, whose transcendental qualities are all attractive. They fill themselves with a limitless flood of ecstasy that ridicules the bliss of liberation, and they drank the sublime nectar of pure devotion to Lord Hari and the company of the devotees. Commentary. Sanaka Kumara and his brothers were traveling with the messengers of Vaikuntha because the four brothers had just been there themselves and were returning from their visit. They are Atma Ramas, self-satisfied sages, but the transcendental qualities of Lord Vishnu attract everyone, even the Atma Ramas. In Vaikuntha, the Kumaras had seen the Supreme Lord in person and felt ecstasy that belittled the happiness of impersonal liberation. They had chanted the Lord's glories along with the Vaikuntha devotees and enjoyed the wonderful nectar of Bhakti Rasa.
Yeah, remember this interesting because the Kumaras, there's that famous again in Bhagavatam where they attempted to enter Vaikuntha. Isn't it? We know that pastime.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, yeah. And they were stopped by Jai and Vijay, who were Vaikuntha Dutas. But here it seems like they're great friends now. Now it seems they have access to Vaikuntha. Yeah.
I think it's because Krishna wanted to come down on the earth that he made his Jai and Vijay to say something that would.
Yeah, that was called the arrangement of the Lord, as we know, ultimately. But still interesting. I was just reminded of that. Seems now the Kumaras have free access through the gates entering into Vaikuntha. So I guess this is all happening after that specific Leela.
Can they be in a different universe?
Yeah, might be. Could be that as well. Different in a different universe. Could be that as well. Hare Krishna. Welcome, Mother Gopi Gita. Hare Krishna. Hare Bol. All right, you can continue. Unless anyone, if you got anything which you like to add, or please feel free, or any questions, anything seems confusing, please you can ask them. We can like that. Hare Krishna. Okay, you can continue, Mother. 96, 97.
Text 96, 97. What more can I say about Vaikuntha Loka? With its opulence, it displays the final limit of eternal, unlimited joy. It is blessed abundantly by the ever-visible pastimes of the lotus feet of the Lord, the husband of the goddess of fortune. The Lord's loving devotees easily gain their Vaikuntha, but person with minds tarnished by the bad idea of complete oneness and the yearning for liberation can hardly hope to achieve it, even in their dreams. Commentary. Returning from his digression about why the four Kumaras are present, Sri Ganesh here summarizes his glorification of Vaikuntha. He feels he has now said enough, since his words are not capable of adequately describing the greatness of Lord Narayan's abode. Vaishnavas who have pure love for the Lord can easily enter Vaikuntha, but the impersonalists who prefer the oneness of mukti to the reciprocation of devotional service have little hope of being admitted, Many Shastras confirm this. For example, the Yoga Vashishta Ramayana states, an ignorant, half-awake person who likes to say everything is Brahman earns by this entanglement in a network of terrible hells.
Okay.
The Brahman,
pretty intense, isn't it?
yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's very intense.
Yeah. One second. Yeah, so these normally we hear of Mayavadis who blaspheme the Lord, who deny the Lord as having form or even being a person. Then often it's said that they enter into the hellish worlds. But here it seems like those who may be Brahmavadis even. Sometimes in the Sastras, there's some statements which dare we say it. Siva Goswami mentions this, out of their ecstasy of devotion to the Lord, sometimes there may be some exaggerated statements. Whether this is one, I don't know. But here it's an ignorant, half-awake person who likes to say everything is Brahman. So this is Brahmavadi, it's not Mayavadi. So sometimes they get a bit, for those, yeah, they get a bit carried away. So this might be such an example. Anyway, let's read on. It might give more clarification. Okay. Everyone knows the difference between the Brahmavadi and Mayavadi. I've just explained. Brahmavadis, example Sukadev Goswami. Also, the four Kumaras were Brahmavadis until they got the mercy of the Lord of Vaikuntha. But they're kind of innocent, and they don't deny or blaspheme the Lord as having form or qualities. They're just absorbed in the spiritual context of the universe. Anyway, let's read on. Hare Krishna, Mother.
Hare Krishna. This is page 5 to 6. A person full of attachment for sense gratification, who likes to say, I am Brahman, will burn in hell for billions of kalpas. And in other Purana, a person stuck in worldly enjoyment who says, I am Brahman, has fallen both from Vedic duties and from Brahman realization. He should be rejected like an outcast. Since materialists who identify themselves with Brahman are said to fall into hell, surely those who imagine themselves identical with Par Brahman, the personality of Godhead, are even more condemned.
Hey, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Text 98. If you receive the full mercy of my Father, you will hear the glories of Vaikuntha and go there to see them for yourself. Commentary. Rather than trying to present more of the glories of Vaikuntha in his own words, Ganesha directs Gopakumara to seek them for himself. Since Gopakumara has already been granted Lord Shiva's personal audience, Lord Shiva's complete mercy should not be difficult for him to obtain. Receiving the full mercy of Lord Shiva results not in attaining Shivloka, but in reaching Vaikuntha to serve Lord Vishnu in pure devotional service. Text 99. Sri Gopakumara said, O Brahmana, I quickly become ardent to reach that place, and that feeling made me dance wildly on a stage made of waves of a vast ocean of anxiety. Commentary. Gopakumar's eagerness made him anxious about whether he would reach Vaikuntha.
Okay, perhaps. Hare Krishna, thank you, Mother. Perhaps if anyone else like to read. So,
Hare Krishna, thank you so much.
Gopakumar at this point, he's on a very, you could say, specific point in his journey, because now he's going to enter Vaikuntha. Yeah. Before that, he's been on the upper planet. He's been in the higher planets of the heavenly planets. He was there, as we know. Then he entered into the realm of the sages, and now he entered further up to Brahmaloka, then Shiva Loka, and now he's on his way to Vaikuntha. Yeah, so and as we know, that won't be his home as yet. He will go on further. Yeah, but very exciting. Well, at least he's very excited here. He's very eager. He's very anxious at the same time whether he would reach Vaikuntha. Right, someone else would like to read us into Vaikuntha? Okay, Mother
Can I
Monk.
try?
Yes, go ahead. So as Gopakumar enters Vaikuntha, we're going to enter Vaikuntha as well. Okay, so hold on. Hare
I'm
Krishna.
ready. Shigopa Kumar. Oh, is it gone the page? There. Shigopa Kumara say, "Oh Brahmana, I quickly become ardent to reach that place, and that feeling made me dance wildly on the stage made of wave of a vast ocean of anxiety." Commentary: Gopa Kumara eagerness made him anxious about whether he would reach Vaikuntha. From the many thoughts, yeah, thoughts.
Correct, yeah.
For the many thoughts flashing through my mind, I conclude I was unfit to go. I cried profoundly, and the force of my sorrow made me faint and suddenly fall to the ground.
Krishna.
That most merciful of great soul, the one best friend of Vaisnavas, Lord Shiva, who cannot tolerate the distress of others, picked me up and spoke to console me. Commentary: Lord Shiva, Mahadeva, was ready to give his full mercy to Gopal Kumara. Sri Mahadeva say, "My dear Vaishnava, both Parvati and I, just like you, want to live forever in that Vaikuntha Loka." Commentary: Lord Shiva notes that the same desire harbored by him and his wife has developed in Gopakumara. Because Lord Shiva and Gopakumara share the same interest, it is implied perhaps Gopakumara should come to Lord Shiva planet and stay happily with him there for some time. But that world is exceedingly difficult to attain. Indeed, even liberated souls pray to achieve it. Brahma's sons and Brahma himself strive for it, and so even do I. Commentary: For the liberated impersonalist and for demigods such as Shiva, Brahma, and sons of Brahma like Brigu, the spiritual world Vaikuntha is Sadhya, the goal to be attained, but not yet Sadhita, actually obtained. Only one who has completely perfected his religious duty, who is pure, who is done with selfish motives, can achieve the mercy of Sri Hari. If that mercy is multiplied 100 times, one attains the post of Brahma, and if 100 times again, one can become like me. And if one obtains from the divine personality of Godhead more mercy than I, 100 times more, one can go to Vaikuntha. Commentary: This is how difficult it is to achieve entrance into Vaikuntha. Lord Shiva also described this in his instruction to the Prachetas in the 4th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam 4:24-29. A person who executes his occupational duty properly for 100 births becomes qualified to occupy the post of Brahma, and if he becomes more qualified, he can approach me. But a person directly surrendered to Lord Krishna or Lord Vishnu in unalloyed devotional service is at once promoted to the spiritual planet. I and other demigods attain those planets after the destruction of this material world. So, some demigods, including Lord Shiva, are qualified for promotion to Vaikuntha, but only after they completed the long appointment as universal rules, and after their subtle bodies are dissolved by the attainment of liberation. But pure devotees, graced with a sufficient portion of Lord Vishnu's mercy, need not serve such long term as demigods. They can achieve Vaikuntha much more quickly. We read in the Itihisa Samuchaya, in the narration about Mudgala. Above the domain of impersonal Brahman is that supreme abode of Lord Vishnu. It is the pure, eternal sky known as Parabrahma, saintly person who are free from possessiveness, and ego, who are beyond duality, who have controlled their senses, and who are fixed in meditational yoga, go to that abode. The eternal unborn Lord Hari, or Krishna, is variously known as Vishnu, Krishna, Jishnu.
Interesting. Haven't come across that before. Jishnu. There we go. Lord.
Vakshana, and the four-armed Lord Narayana. Those who worship the Supreme Lord, meditating on Him as the Supreme Transcendental Person, remembering Him as the infallible Lord, achieve His infallible abode. Such is the eternal proclamation of revealed scriptures. In the context of this verse of the Itihasa Samuchaya, the word Brahmanaha Sadhana Urtvam should be understood to refer not to Lord Brahman's planet, but to Mahakala Pura, the abode of liberation. In that Mukti Pada, liberated souls merge in Sahajiya, in intense meditation of Brahman.
So,
Vaikuntha is
sorry, Sayuja. That's it.
Sayuja, yeah, no Sahajiyas. They are not Sahajiyas.
Uh-huh.
Sayuja, in the intense meditation on Brahman. Vaikuntha is superior both to this Mukti Pada and the Mahesha Dhamma, the abode of Lord Shiva. Because Lord Shiva taught an incarnation of the an incarnation of the Supreme Lord plays the role of a devotee, he humbly compares himself unfavorably with the residents of Vaikuntha. But in reality, even the personal associates of Lord Narayana worship Lord Shiva as an incarnation of Narayana. Those associates have similarly respect for all of Lord Narayana's incarnation, even the Jivas, who are Saktyavisha avatars. The apparent hierarchy among this expansion of Godhead rests not on their actual relative superiority, but merely on how each avatara shows himself, either as a portion of God or as God's devotees. This will be explained more clearly later on in the instruction given by Narada Muni.
Okay, just any questions here? Anything confusing or?
So who is Jishnu?
It's a form of it's Lord Hari. It's another name of Lord Hari, as it is explained it. First time, has anyone come across this before?
No, no.
There you go. Learn something every day.
Vishnu.
Yeah.
It's like you are it's like you are in a different county and they speak with a different accent. It can be like that.
I don't know.
It's like you go to Scotland and they call you different because they have an accent.
Yeah, it could well be a different name. Well, it's basically it's a name for Krishna. There's Vishnu. There's the name of Hari. Is known as Krishna as Jishnu. So it's probably there in some Purana. If someone wants to do a little study on it, it'd be interesting. You could probably someone could type it into Google and see what comes up, you know. But yeah, that's as far as I can comment on that. Yeah.
It says the name Jishnu means triumphant or victorious,
There
and
you
it's
go.
usually associated with Vishnu. It must mean triumphant. Yeah.
Google Kijai. Yeah, so there you go. So Jishnu means triumphant, and then was it triumphant and?
Sorry, victorious.
Yeah,
victorious.
So victorious. So the Lord is always victorious. So therefore, he's called Jishnu. Interesting name to give a devotee, isn't it? Your name is Jishnu. Yeah. And anything else from anyone? Anything particularly caught your attention on what we're reading here? For myself, right, as we're hearing this description of Vaikuntha and the superiority of Vaikuntha and of actually attaining Vaikuntha that even Lord Brahma wishes to obtain and Lord Shiva wishes to obtain. But further and more difficult to achieve, and further than that, is, as we know, Goloka Vrindavan, where Krishna is enacting these pastimes with Mother Yashoda, with the Gopas and the Gopis. So from that, we can perhaps have some type of indication and appreciation for the ecstasy of Lord Gauranga, of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who's coming to give this, to give the what no other incarnation, as it's described, anapita chiram chirat corona avatiyana kalo, no other incarnation offered before. So just keep that in mind as we're reading this. It highlights the benevolence of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because if it wasn't for Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we wouldn't even heard, probably most likely, we wouldn't even have heard of the name Goloka Vrindavan. Yeah, we would have never heard of Mother Yasoda. We have never heard of the Gopis and Gopas of Radharani. Yeah, it was Lord Chaitanya who, what is it? He broke and smashed down the stores of love of Godhead and gave this highest perfection. Yeah, so just keep that in mind as we're reading about this. Something there?
Are the demigods not jealous on human beings or on devotees?
Well,
Because they cannot evolve more than the position of demigod, if I am correct.
yeah, I don't think they're jealous exactly, because because they are devotees of the Lord. They wouldn't have that quality of, say,
Not jealous,
jealousy.
not jealous, but maybe not jealous, but they feel like, we are kind of stuck in our position, and Vaisnavas, they can more easily reach and relish the love of God.
Yeah, that is correct, and that was brought up in today's today's Srimad Bhagavatam class, and it's there in the Srimad Bhagavatam, because they're in the heavenly planets, and although they're devotees, they are distracted by the opulence of Vaikuntha. So, but the residents of the earthly realm, because of Lord Gauranga's appearance and because of the Adi-Bhautik, Adi-Devic, and Adi-Atmika miseries, it causes them to really beseech and call out to the Lord with great sincerity. So therefore, the residents of the earthly realm had the opportunity to enter into Vaikuntha and Goloka. So yeah, that's correct, Mother Mongol Proof. Anybody else has any more information on that? But that is correct. Yeah. Okay.
It's that sometimes devotees, I don't want to make any offense. I'm just speaking loudly, thinking loudly. That's why we should be very careful and not be proud. Because we got such a big opportunity, like even demigods cannot have it.
Yeah, but
in a way we can feel even higher than the demigods, but we are, I don't know if I can say we are not, but it's like we got
anyone else? Yeah, I got it. I got what you're saying. Anyone else like to comment on that? We there's a chance. Okay, I'll just explain that we can obtain Goloka Vrindavan. So I guess it's not a comment type thing, but generally it should, in one sense, it should invoke invoke within us a really deep sense of humility. Because a deep sense of humility, because it is not as if that realm is open to us as yet. We have got a ways to go in our devotional development in order to obtain the attraction and power and the required perfection to actually enter that place. Yeah, we are just trying to grapple with what Lord Chaitanya has given us, you know, and it's because it's such a wonderful achievement, it's not easily achieved. It's not like it doesn't come on the plate. We have to follow very strictly the teachings of the Goswamis, etc. So we should approach it with okay, yeah, with a great humility, and we should be praying to great demigods like Lord Shiva in order to assist us in obtaining our goal. You know, we shouldn't think we're superior to them. No, how could we possibly? Yeah, we might do. Yeah, we are not, but we should always be on guard against pride. Yeah. Did that answer the question, Model Mongol Pro? That addressed it, or anything else?
It did, but I'm thinking from the two places. Like we have the opportunity to make the advancement, and we have a big responsibility. If we see it as a responsibility, because we got the keys, but the demigods, they are serving there, and even if they want, they cannot achieve it so easy.
Well, actually, the demigods, I think it's also explained that the demigods are taking birth here in the earthly realms and taking part in Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement.
Mm.
Yeah, so they're very intelligent.
The ones which are fixed in the fixed position and they cannot take birth now, like Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma, till they dissolve themselves, it says in the previous what we were reading.
Yeah. I mean, as far as I understand, Shiva's position, anyone can help us on this? But I think Lord Shiva, his position is eternal, isn't it? I know the position of Lord Brahma and the other demigods, it's a seat which they occupy for some time. And then different souls enter into the position of Lord Indra. Lord Shiva,
one foot is in the spiritual world and one foot is on the material world. And that's the name of Sadashiv. And that Shiva is eternal. That's how I understand.
Okay, yeah, thank you. So Lord Shiva, he's in a unique tattva on his own.
But the different Shivas who come in all the different material worlds, and like Mahavishnu is breathing in and breathing out. Those Shivas go, but Sadashiv always stays. He's the one.
Okay. So you got the Rudra expansions. Then they're like posts, but the Sadashiv is an eternal position. Yes, Hare Krishna. Thank you. So I think that conclusion is that the demigods, yes, they very much appreciate the opportunity that those within the earthly realms have, but they are taking birth in the earthly realms where the Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement is being done, and they're engaged in kirtan to obtain that perfection, which is the highest abode. All right. Perhaps we can read on anything else upon that. Okay, East Modern Mongol, I think you're there. You can continue reading another couple of verses and we'll get another. Someone else like to read after that, please, you're quite welcome.
But you deserve to go to Vaikuntha, O son of Govardhan, cowherd. Govardhana cowherd, for you are a devotee of Lord Mathura, a disciple of a Brahmana, attached only to the Lord's devotional service, a soul dedicated to the Lord's mantra given by you, by your Guru, and one who is faithful in your service to the Lord. Commentary. Although Sri Vaikuntha Loka is extremely difficult to achieve, Gopakumara is fit to go there. Lord Shiva merely mentioned to the 10 syllables Gopala mantra with great respect as Tadyatan mantra, that mantra of his, because further word could not adequately express the glories of the mantra and the extent of its potency. For Gopakumara, chanting this mantra is not a mechanical exercise, but the means for awakening his intimate loving reciprocation with Lord Madan Gopal.
Okay, good. For those here who have the Gopal mantra, there's devotees here who have actually been given the Gopal mantra by the respective spiritual masters. So just keep this in mind, this wonderful Gopal mantra that we have when you're chanting your Gayatri mantras this evening, with full respect and attention. Yes, Hare Krishna. Okay, continue. Text 108, 110.
Yeah, if you can change the page, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Another. Oh. Here is the abode of Sayuja, one of the 4 kinds of liberation. Here indeed is the goal of renunciation, whose mind are fixed on the thoughts of absolute oneness, whose heart have dried up in the blazing fire of material miseries, who pursued the worthless as if it were real, enable within themselves to discriminate between what has value, and what does not. I make them fall into the ocean of bewilderment by the order of Krishna, who wants to hide from them the secret of Prema Bhakti to his lotus feet.
All right, sorry, I just lost them here. Is the abode of Sayuja. Okay, so Sayuja means becoming one with the Lord, isn't it? Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, Sayuja. All right.
Is.
So that's why it's spoken of in this negative terms. Yeah. Who absolute oneness. Okay, yeah. So I was a bit inattentive there. Whose hearts have been dried up by the blazing fire of material miseries, who pursued a worthless as if it was real. All right, so for them, the secret of Prema Bhakti is hidden. Okay, sorry. Hare Krishna. Okay, you can read.
Devotees who care only for the ecstasy of worshipping the Supreme Lord neglect this impersonal abode. Knowing this, you too should reject it as an obstacle to your progress. The abode of liberation is a fitting place for impersonalists, keen on Sayuja Mukti, but not for a cowherd worshipper of Madan Gopal. In Sri Hari Vamsa 249:12, Lord Krishna described Mahakala Pura to Arjuna as follows. This vast expanse of divine Brahman effulgence you see, O best of the Bharatas, I myself am that. This infinite light is eternal. It is my superior eternal nature, both manifest and unmanifest. The most expert knowers of yoga enter it and become liberated. O Partha, O Prita, it is the goal of the Sankhya philosophers and austere yogis, the supreme transcendental Brahman, pervading the entire universe. Descendant of Bharata, know this to be my concentrated effulgence. The Mahakala Pura described in this passage of Sri Harivamsa is the same region Gopal Kumara saw outside the covering of the universe. Both Srimad Bhagavatam and Harivamsa mention that Krishna and Arjuna, while traveling to Mahakala Pura, passed Loka Some take this to mean that the Mahakalapura they visited was a place inside the egg of the universe, in the outer region where sunlight does not reach. Crossing Loka Loka can also be understood, however, to mean passing beyond the 14 worlds that exist in the realm of light, Loka, and also beyond the rest of the outer universe, which lies in complete darkness, Aloka. Mahakala Pura is a suitable destination for impersonalists, sannyasis, for the reason Lord Shiva mentioned in the text 108 through 111. Non-devotees, sannyasis, lack real spiritual knowledge and are incapable of discerning the spiritual essence of things. As Lord Brahma stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 10.14.4, Shtulatu Savagyatinam, they are just beating the empty husk of grains already threshed. They are in this pitiful condition because Lord Shiva has cast them into the ocean of material bewilderment. As he himself explained in the Uttarakanda 236.7.10 of Sri Padma Purana. The Mayavad philosophy is a false interpretation of the revealed scriptures, and it is considered no more than a covered form of Buddhism. O Devi, I shall appear as a Brahmana in the age of Kali to teach this philosophy. I shall describe the absolute truth in a contrary way, as devoid of qualities, just to bewilder the entire universe in the age of Kali. Lord Shiva performed the thankless task on the direct order of Lord Krishna. As recorded in Brihad Shastra Namashtrota, Padma Purana Uttara 4205, by concocting your own doctrine, turn the general opulence against me. Because Sri Krishna wanted to keep his pure devotee service confidential, he requested Lord Shiva to create this confusion. But Vaisnavas, whose only serious ambition is life, is to achieve the blissful rasa of worshipping Krishna, reject impersonalist liberation. Gopakumara, Lord Shiva advises, should reject it also, like any obstacle to his practice of Bhagabhakti.
Okay, anyone can say the name of this person who is Lord Shiva actually, who preached this? You get, yeah. So Lord Shiva came and he took on the form of a Brahmana in the age of Kali. So you get 10 points for naming the name of that Brahmana.
There was the bull, yeah? The bull with one leg?
No.
No.
Really the
No.
wrong direction.
No.
Where if you're listening to our morning Chaitanya Charitamrita classes, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is defeating his philosophy, which was expounded by Praksananda Saraswati Thakur, and also
in Varanasi.
Yeah, and also Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Name that
In Varanasi.
Name that Brahmana.
I don't know his name, but I know in Varanasi they were.
Yeah, so who's the
Tapan Mishra? Tapan Mishra? Tapan Mishra?
No, Tapa Mishra he's a devotee of the Lord, Chapa Mishra and Chandrasekhar. They were heartbroken by these Mayavad sannyasis who were criticizing Lord Chaitanya, and their philosophy was based, their Mayavad philosophy was based on the commentary of the Brahma Sutra by this Brahmana whose name was?
Starts with a P. Is that right?
What?
Starts with a P?
No. I'm not going to.
No, okay.
I'm not going to read further until we get it.
It doesn't start with a P.
No, it doesn't start with a P. I can give you a clue. When I give this clue, I think some of you will get it. He took sannyas at the age of 8 or something like that.
Shankaracharya.
Yeah, Shankaracharya. Well done. Hare Krishna. 10 points. Yeah, so Shankaracharya. So these verses are speaking about Shankaracharya. Yeah, he was an incarnation of Lord Shiva. Yeah, who propounded this impersonalist darshan of the Brahma Sutras. Yeah, and he did quite a good job. Yeah. All right, so now we're allowed to go on. Hare Krishna. So remember, Shankaracharya. So that's, yeah, he has a commentary on Brahma Sutra. He has a commentary on Bhagavad Gita. But he didn't do a commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam. That was too of a difficult task, because Bhagavatam, the Lord, is difficult to give an impersonal purport to Bhagavatam, although some of Shankaracharya's followers did. Especially they give an impersonal commentary on the Chatusloki of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah, and Prabhupada deals with that extensively in Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah, in that section of the Chatusloki. But anyway, it's Shankaracharya. All right, so I'm going to have a read. I hope you don't mind. I can't see any hands up, so I'm going to quickly read. So we've got a few minutes left, 7 minutes left. Okay, everyone's ready for more? We want more? Next 7 minutes? Yes, Hare Krishna. Okay, text 112. Very cleverly, the Brahmana residing in Dwarka, who wanted to taste the rasa of Krishna Bhakti, brought his sons from here to Dwarka. Okay, what's this about? Let's read this. Besides scripture, the behavior of respectable persons also proves that Sayuja Mukti is undesirable for Vaisnavas. The motive of the Dwarka Brahmana who came to Ugrasena, all right, this is the story, complaining about the untimely death of his newborn sons, was actually to bring his sons back from the abode of liberation. All right. You didn't know that. Everyone knows this story in the Krishna book. It's mentioned there. This pastime, a Brahmana who died an untimely death because the king was to blame. Because if the king runs the kingdom,
That's Madhumangal.
no, it's not Mother Mongol. But the king who runs the kingdom.
It is.
It is. No, this is it?
I think it is. And with Balaram came, Krishna with Balaram came, and he asked Sandipani Muni, I think, what wish they have, and he said, I would like to, if you can bring my son back.
It's a different story.
That's a different story. That's a different story.
Oh.
It's different. Yeah, this is different. This is a separate story. It's not that same story. So the king was held responsible. Anyway, let's read it. The residents of Dwarka during Krishna's appearance all had spiritual Satchit Ananda bodies, and on the strength of their loving service to the lotus feet of Shri Devaki Nandana, they felt contempt for the happiness of impersonal liberation. All right, so how did the son of a Brahmana die then? This is what's been brought up here. Some persons, in their attempt to explain the Puranic histories, say that the residents of Dwarka were only human beings with bodies made of the 5 material elements, because the historical accounts describe their births and deaths. Okay. Even in material bodies, these Puranic scholars say the residents of Dwarka obtained intimate relationship with Krishna because of their unique devotion to him in pure love. Okay, that's what's said. Now, what's the truth? These commentators, however, to make their theory fit for facts, ought to concede that the Dwarkavasis only seem to act like ordinary materially embodied human beings. If that is what they actually were, then they would have been unfit to join in the various pleasure pastimes of the personality of Godhead, whose bodily form is pure Satchit Ananda. Okay, we following? Yeah. So different arguments are being brought up here of the constitution of the Dwarkavasis. Yeah. Moreover, it is an established fact that by the power of Bhagavat Bhakti, one's body becomes completely spiritual. And this principle should certainly apply to the pure devotees of Dwarka. All right, so that's what's been established. They all have spiritual bodies in Dwarka. The scholars may retort that if the devotees of Dwarka only seem to have material bodies, then the Lords, having assumed a human form and behaved like a human being, must also have been only a pretense. But this, they say, cannot be so, because Srimad Bhagavatam says that every one of the Supreme Lord's personal forms is eternally real and all-pervading. Yeah, that's what we understand, isn't it? It is. He has a Noah-like form, but that form is completely spiritual. Now, what the scholars say should, on its surface, be granted. Certainly, the personality of Godhead's appearances are never imitations of material life, since all of them are eternal. And he reveals himself perpetually in those very forms to his various worshippers. Furthermore, again supporting the scholar's view, authoritative scriptures describe that the residents of the Lord's abode, like Dwarka, sometimes abandon their imitation human appearance and assume their purely spiritual Satchit Ananda forms. Bit complicated. Srimad Bhagavatam 10.29, 9.11 describes, for example, that some of the gopis who could not join the Ras dance gave up their human bodies and at once obtained their Satchit Ananda bodies. All right, quite a lengthy purport. Let's see how long it is. Wow, this is a big purport. We're not going to get through the whole thing, but there's a lot to try and understand, probably just as well.
So that's mean they show their effulgence. They got their spiritual body by, let's say, activating it. Or not? No, not true.
No, I think we can perhaps would have to read the whole thing, and because Gopi Purana is bringing up different arguments here from the scholars, from Bhagavatam, and from the So the conclusions, let's see. So he's bringing up different, interesting example here. So here's again about the gopis, so that they assumed spiritual forms, mean that before that point they had like material forms. Yeah, let's read on. Some of the gopis.
But it says when you perfect yourself, you achieve certain siddhis. So even a guru, if he wants, I was reading in Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 4, I can't exactly give the name, but it says that you can get out from the body and you can go in a different body if you want. Is that something similar? Like they have a spiritual body, but some of them they can't activate it, but the gopis could activate it. So they left the body, sitting like there is the story in the cave. One guru left his body, but then he went and played in the lila of the Lord.
I don't know. I would have to visit that part of the Bhagavatam to read that context. I haven't heard it described like you have just described, so I can't comment on it. That devotees can leave their, no doubt they have all mystic powers but generally devotees, even if they have mystic powers at their hands, they do not indulge in these mystic powers. Yeah, they're fully absorbed in Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu. Yeah. So, and let's read on a little bit. We might go over a couple of minutes just to get some context of what we're reading it. Some of the gopis, unable to get out of their houses, instead remained home with eyes closed, meditating upon Lord Krishna in pure love. For those gopis, intolerable separation from their beloved caused an intense agony that burned away all the impious karma. By meditating upon him, they realized his embrace, and their ecstasy exhausted their material piety. Although Lord Krishna is the Supreme Soul, these girls simply thought of him as their male lover and associated with him in that intimate mood. Thus their karmic bondage was nullified and they abandoned their gross material bodies. By giving up their human bodies, these gopis were able to join the personality of Godhead in their original forms and enjoy with him the pleasure pastimes that most attracted them. I'll just read this last paragraph here. Here it seems that the gopis regained their spiritual bodies, eternal, blissful, and full of knowledge, bodies just like that of the Lord. It was in this way that the gopis were able to be Shangataha, more intimately associated with Krishna. All right. Perhaps just we'll pause there, but just as a note, as I understand, His Holiness Shivaram Swami Maharaj mentions that when it's said that the gopis gave up their bodies, it isn't like they passed away or died, and this seems to be confirmed here, because that would be inauspicious. That would be inauspicious for the Lord's pastimes. Yeah. But here they gave up their material vestiges and became completely purified. So they gave up their last traces of matter and became completely spiritualized. So it's not, sometimes it's maybe misunderstood that when it says the gopis left their bodies, like they can't go to meet Krishna, so then they meditate on Krishna so much and so intensely that they drop dead. No, it's not like that. They just become, their material identities, if it was there, if there's any trace that was left, because some gopis could go to be with Krishna and some couldn't. They still had some last vestiges of purification to go through. And that separation and that intensity of their meditation and burnt away their last traces of material contamination. Yeah. All right. Let's pause there, shall we? Hare Krishna. All right. Thank you, everyone. And we'll pick this up next week. I'll put a little bookmark here. And there we go. Hare Krishna. We'll pick out from here from next week. So thank you for joining us, getting back again into Brhad Bhagavatamrta. And please join us if you can for next week's hearing. On Monday, we have Sankalpa Kaumudi and then continue with Bhagavad Gita. Okay? So thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful devotional weekend. We have Rath Yatra on Saturday. Might see some of you there. Hopefully, I can go for that. So, Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare ki jai.
Bhagavatamrta ki jai. Prabhu Kumar ki jai. Gopi Purandana ki jai. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Hare.